In the store aisles, a quiet revolution is happening. With Endeavor, frontline staff aren't just selling products, they're building trust, making connections, and turning browsers into loyal customers. Let's see how. He didn't know which brand he wanted, just that the trail ahead was rocky. But she knew, because she'd trained for this moment right on her phone. A quick conversation, a confident recommendation, and a perfect fit hiking boot later, he's ready for his trip. That's right, she's a shop floor hero! It may be lunchtime, but between sandwich bites, he learned about fog-fighting tech and snow goggles. An hour later, that knowledge helped a customer pick the perfect pair and add a helmet too. Learning on the go, selling with certainty, adding value. Yup, he's a shop floor hero! Endeavor is a mobile-first platform that equips retail staff with training, incentives, and tools to boost sales and brand engagement. Brands gain insights, sell-through improves, while retail associates stay motivated. Ready to get started? Just head to endeavor.io, update your brand profile, and upload your dealer list to access the free features and, when you're ready, launch your first pay-as-you-go campaign. With flexible, scalable options, Endeavor turns everyday interactions into strategic wins. The result? Be a shop floor hero. Endeavor's here to stay. Shop floor hero. Sell-through is the way. Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight. Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight. Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, just like they do every Monday here on the Rock Fight, the outdoor industry insider and consigliere to the Rock Fight, Eoin Comerford, and brand and creative expert producer Dave, a.k.a. the Monday Boys. Hey, there it is. All right.
We need to actually get an actual sound.
No, I like when you do
that. Okay, fine. I'm going to charge extra that's it. I mean,
that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, that's not in your original contract.
Those have been free up to now, but those are going to cost you.
I don't know if you are aware, because it's on a text thread, Eoin, but Shante Salabert had some notes about your 90s band's preferences after listening to last week's episode.
Whoa, I missed that on the text string. Really? It's been a busy day. Okay. She didn't
So she took particular exception to Sublime being referenced.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's no longer PC in the current world.
I think it'd be more because his son took over. Bradley Knowles' son is the lead singer of Sublime now, which is kind of a cool story.
There were so many other bands. I mean, I could go on all the bands that you guys missed, but
those are
just some that came to mind. At least you called out Matthew's Sweet Girlfriend as a classic, one of the best.
I'm 100%
guitar
guy
songs.
too. Today, we're going to get into some industry headlines, but first, some programming reminders. Tomorrow, Doug Schnitzbahn opens the container like he always does on Tuesday. His guest this week is Catherine Andrews, the director of Arkansas's Office of Outdoor Recreation, so make sure you're listening to Open Container and check that out. Also, come back to the Rock Fight this Wednesday, where I'll be joined by the aforementioned Sublime hater, Shante Salabert, to check out the latest headlines that come out of the outdoor adventure community. And hey, Dave, producer Dave, how can our listeners get a little bit more from the Rock Fight if they would like to?
Colin, so many ways. I would recommend subscribing to our newsletter, News from the Front. Head over to rockfight.co and sign up, and it's all right there in front of you, and it's pink and black and colorful glory.
And if our listeners want to reach out to us, what should they do?
Well, of course, they can always email us at myrockfight@gmail.com. Apparently, somebody had rockfight@gmail.com. Okay, anyway, myrockfight@gmail.com. Probably the same asshole that owns rockfight.com.
Probably.
Son of a bitch. Anyway,
Right?
because we're rockfight.co, all right? But you can also obviously hit us up on LinkedIn. Just search on Rockfight there to find our page, or on Instagram, where we are Rockfight Co. And just follow along for all of the excitement. You can even send us a DM, and I'm sure somebody will read it, or maybe
I will.
get back to you.
I'll read it.
Colin will read it. There we go.
I'll read it, and then I'll heart it unless you're being mean, and then I won't.
Oh, okay.
Send you to our Discord server and our Snapchat.
Yes, all of which are real things. Okay, the opening shot on today's episode of The Rock Fight is presented by Lem's Shoes. As the summer season wraps up, now's a great time to get ready for fall with Lem's, guys. All right, from easygoing slip-ons and refined leather lace-ups to tough, trail-ready boots, Lem's offers footwear for every occasion, and their fit is unmatched. If you've never experienced the fit of a pair of Lem's, well, I just feel sorry for you. You guys have experienced the fit of some Lem's shoes and boots, I believe.
Not actually.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I thought we got you some of those.
I think you got me the sandals, but
The
I'm
sandals.
I'm not
All
a
right.
sandals person. So
We're going to rectify that as soon as we're done recording today because they're built with comfort, durability, and versatility at the core. Their collection is ready to take you to whatever the season leads. And with fresh and exciting styles just around the corner, be sure to stay tuned. But in the meantime, head to lemshoes.com right now to get your feet into the best fitting shoe you've ever worn. And today, guys, we're starting where we've been a lot lately. We're talking about running. Now, this isn't a full-on edition of Tariff Watch 2025, but there were some stories that have come out of the past week from the running world that puts us on Tariff Watch's corner because I want to explore the running world, particularly the brand On Running, and how it might be a little tariff-proof. So let's get into this here with some news about On Running. Per RetailDive.com, On second quarter sales were up 32% year over year, and the brand raised its full-year outlook to 31% growth after previously saying they thought they would grow to be 28%. In regards to tariffs, On seems to be nonplussed when it comes to the topic that is driving a lot of the conversations we're having on this show recently. CEO/CFO, apparently Martin Hoffman over there, wears both hats, and he was quoted as saying, quote, "We have not even spoken to retail or factory partners about mitigation efforts. We haven't needed to," end quote. So, Eoin, does that read to you as hubris, confidence, maybe a little of both?
maybe a little bit of both. I'm sure there are some executives out there that are thinking, "What a fucking dickhead," you know.
We just don't need to. I can't do a Swiss accent. I don't know.
I don't need to. Whatever. Yeah, but you know, it comes from the fact that they're really seeing their demand outstrip supply, and I thought it was really interesting that actually their D2C sales were quite a bit. The growth was even much higher in D2C. It was like over 40% growth in D2C, whereas wholesale was like mid-20s in growth, right? Which tells me that basically the wholesale didn't buy enough. They sold out, and so everyone went to D2C because their D2C is a full price D2C. They're not driving their D2C sales with discounts. So people are coming to them because they can't get it at wholesale, and it's this, you know, great virtuous cycle of demand outstripping supply, and so you can really kind of do what you want there, and potentially just, hey, if we're going to hit with tariffs, we'll just raise our prices a little bit, you know, because we're not worried about demand elasticity with price increases because we're selling everything we can make. So it's a great place to be. You're not always going to be there as a brand typically, but yeah, good for them.
Apart from tariffs, you know, we talk a lot about the European brands who are eyeballing coming into the U.S. and expanding into this territory here. And as a European brand, you know, On does seem to be doing things differently. They're finding success here when other brands are struggling to get traction. Like, what do you think that difference is? What are they doing differently?
Well, first, the thing that jumped out at me is the fact that they're they're a European-based brand out of Switzerland, I believe. Typically, what you'd see is that brands are biggest in their home markets. And the European market is generally speaking about the same size as the North American market. So you'd have thought Europe would be at least slightly bigger than North America. Not so for On. On actually, America is, I think, 2 or 3 times bigger than Europe. So wow. They've really not just been successful here. This is their main market. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One is Nike's retreat from wholesale really opened a door for On and other challenger brands, quite frankly. On also really benefited from having a distinct visual tech approach because of their soul and the whole things that are there, right? Which really stood out as being very different for customers, especially younger customers who didn't want to be seen wearing, you know, their mother's or father's Nikes, right? And so they said, they've really embraced the brand as this is cool and different and fun. Okay. All this came at the same time that COVID was booming. So that their timing was just perfect, really through they were just, good timing. And then finally, they've really understood the importance of top of the funnel marketing rather than just, come over here, sell in at wholesale and hope things happen. They came in, had some initial traction, and then really started to invest in top of the funnel to where now, I think getting Zendaya as an example, as a brand ambassador, rather than, just the tired, let's figure out, what athlete hasn't signed with Nike or Adidas yet and get the second tier athlete. No. We're going to go first tier superstar and, just really break the playbook for athletic brands. So they've just made so many great moves in this market, I think.
So I'll let you know it's Zendaya, just for futures. I don't want you to get in trouble with the youth in your family and your life, We made the consigliere speechless.
You had to do it. He
So
set you up.
Zendaya.
He set you up.
Zendaya.
He led you down the path. He let you go there.
Well, you are making really good points. I also didn't want you to,
It's
later.
true.
Yeah.
No, if we can't be accurate on this podcast, what are we?
Seriously, this is proven to be the most 100% accurate podcast of all time, I believe.
This is not a guarantee.
Dave, what do you like? What's going on on running from a brand perspective?
I think he hit all of that. I mean, brand perspective, right? I mean, first the visual tech. It's a clean look. So that's always going to be popular. It's always going to have a hit, and they do it well. I think like you said, the top of the funnel, the Zendaya, it's not just the fact that they signed an A-list celebrity and a very generational one. I think they're using her really well. I think honestly, when you're Swiss and you're clean tech, the inclination is to be very structured and very linear about your communication, and everything must look in that way. And they did a lot of that at the beginnings, for sure. But I would say the stuff that they're doing now, it has heart, right? There is a soul to that, and and that's just a little different than what you expect. And again, that's the Nike playbook, right? They've been always very good at bringing out some kind of heart or soul in the athletes that they bring to their communication, and I think that they've done that. But they're also using kind of a future tech kind of wrapping around that. So I think it does help that. At the same time, they are hitting the core pieces of this. I mean, it's on running, right? That they are lean into that.
It's in the name.
And again, I'll go anecdotally, but they opened their concept store here in Portland not too long ago, in a kind of a trendy spot, a kind of place you'd expect it to be. But I'll tell you, a couple times a week, one time a week, that run club that they have in the evening, there's 30, 40 people out in front of that store, and they'll, probably a mile or so to the trail and then back again. So they're getting good people coming out to it regularly. It's always going on. And so to me, that's just, again, another sense that they're also resonating with the core user that they need to, not just as they blow up and go outward. So I think the two things going together are in their favor for sure. And get clean aesthetic. You just can't. You have a nice looking product that goes with everything. No. There you go.
Yeah, the Zendaya of it all is really interesting. Anytime one of their either spots or it's just an ad or something pops up with her in it, I always wait, it takes me back. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that she's in these. It's not what you expect in an athletic ad.
And they're also doing, again, you go away from the running, the way they've used Federer to get into tennis, even though he's not longer playing, and they've now signed some. They're making a definite move into court sports, and not holding back from that. And tennis doesn't have the population participation, but it's on TV. It's on clips. It's definitely, it marks you as a serious contender to a multi-sport athletic brand, not just a single channel.
So they're going after that sweet pickleball money?
Sweet pickleball. Club sports, man. It's a way to keep your brand premium. You still play in performance, and it's in a great extension. If your clean running is kind of where you come from, a white court shoe, that's just the other side of the equation in terms of product that goes with lots of people's outfits.
The interesting thing for me from the outdoor perspective is, for all of the running brands that we try to pretend are outdoor brands and sell in outdoor stores, it's the biggest stretch in my mind, because they really don't have much of a trail running background. I mean, even their tech, right? This big open cell thing, it doesn't work for trail running, right? Because you get gravel and shit in there; it's a disaster. So they've created versions, obviously, that don't have that tech, but it's sort of anti the overall brand altogether. But it just does show that, hey, within the outdoor industry, if we can sell it to our customers, we're going to sell it, even if it isn't really outdoorsy.
Right.
Right. It's outside. And I do want to point out to all those that did not vote for my my
was waiting
draft
for this.
selection that On is a power player here. So shame on you all.
Good. I'm
But
looking at your
not an
fourth
outdoor
place
brand.
finish, Dave. I don't know if
That's what I
that's
mean. I think there's a lot of miscalculation here. Who's laughing now?
Shantae.
Shantae. Fine.
Well, let's talk about running in general, right? So last week we talked about Altra and Saucony having big quarters. A few weeks back we talked about Hoka being up again. And in addition to On's earnings this past week, Brooks also reported a big Q2. So per SGB, Brooks set an all-time quarterly revenue high for Q2, achieving, quote, double-digit growth in every region and channel and expanding global revenue by 19% year over year. So, Owen, I know we keep saying the worst is yet to come when it comes to tariffs, but is running the best position category to deal with tariffs? Because between all these facts and figures and the surge in brands bringing new trail running lines to market, I kind of wonder if we're going to be eating crow next year when it comes to running, just got to keep on chugging along, even in the face of all this uncertainty.
Well, running is not the outdoor industry. I would say that from the outset. So I think we're talking more about where the outdoor industry is going to be maybe in 6-8 months. But yes, running as a category is really quite well positioned just because it's in a period of growing demand, whereas the outdoor category is flat to down single digits over the last number of years. So yeah, it's well positioned. I think the other thing that's really helped running as it deals with tariffs and other things is actually the super shoe of it all. And what I mean by that is super shoes have sort of changed the price anchor around running shoes to be much higher than they used to be. If you'd said to somebody, whatever, 5 years ago, oh yeah, there's going to be a ton of $300 shoes out on the market, and they'll all actually be selling, at some volume. People said, "Are you fucking crazy? No way, no way."
That would never happen. No one would ever accept that price.
Yeah. I mean, then maybe like for some ultra people who are just, but no, people are out there buying, super shoes to run in their half marathon and a 5K. I mean, it's a little insane. So, but obviously not a ton of people are buying super shoes, but it's just changed the price anchor or the price perception to where it used to be $120. I mean, I felt like was a relatively expensive athletic shoe. Now it's 150, 160, and so there does seem to be a little bit more potential for upward movement on price in this category, which obviously helps in the face of tariffs and price increases, than in like the wider outdoor space.
Yeah, I was just back to school shopping with my kids yesterday at the Nike store with my one daughter getting a pair of Nike Pegasus Zooms. And as much as we talk about this, it was $145, which was maybe one of the cheapest running shoes on the wall. And I still had a moment, just my old brain being like, oh, these will be like $120. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This is what it costs for running shoes now. So Dave, is there anything that can be taken from the broader running brand, categorically speaking, like the brand of running that can sort of be applied by others here?
Well, let's take our outdoor lens. What goes up must come down. I mean, look.
Well, there are running is a big part of outdoor, and you go to shops that are running shoes. So
it's just look. If anything, if a fad moves to a trend, it will soften at some point. I guess that adage about coming down is only true except for prices, right? Prices are going to keep going up. But right now it does seem like running is a little impervious to this, and it's just gaining more and more traction and wider followers. Look, it's a gateway activity to the outdoors, right? I mean, in terms of just even getting outside and doing something. We talk about that as the outdoor shifting. Of course, that's going to be an important piece to that. So I just, like I said, looking for the horizon. Where's it going? I don't know how high it's going to get, but at some point it will come back down.
As you talked about in this pod, it has been driven more by trend and fashion, right?
Yeah.
And people wanting to wear those shoes, and they're very comfortable, right? And so that makes a ton of sense. But really the hiking boot of the 10 years ago was also driven by trend. People liked the chunky boot look of things, the Timberlands, et cetera. So those things could still happen, right? I mean,
and they
Timberland was a streetwear thing, and then and now streetwear is much more of a sneaker culture. But Colin, you even shared a YouTube video with us this week, and in that video, the guy there who's obviously very hooked into the streetwear of it all was saying, now maybe streetwear is moving a little bit beyond sneaker culture and getting into things like loafers. as an example. Hopefully not speed loafers.
The snowfer.
The
Snowfer is a category now.
There you go. So, but loafers, and then also even more sort of classically styled products, and then some of the more outdoorsy running aspects. So, are we going to see running as a trend from a fashion perspective more into trail running? So taking more of an outdoorsy vibe to that same running shoe, and trail running takes off not because more people are running on a trail, just because the trail running of it is a cooler look than the non-trail running of it.
Right.
If you even go, just even higher in terms of just mass styles, look, there's going to be a sneaker moment. There's going to be a boot moment. There's going to be a brown shoe moment in this larger sense. And obviously brands and categories fit within those, but they just ebbs and flow. So if sneaker or, running and sneakers have been dominant for so long, boots are going to find their way back and become the dominant. And when that happens, then maybe they'll come back down to lower to the ground. I mean, we haven't talked about barefoot, not the kind of super end of the spectrum to that, but just its influence on overall styles.
The foot health function kind of aspect of that category.
Yeah, brings you into
right?
the trainers. I mean, just the classic trainer just tend to be flat. Vans has been down while, at some point that's going to come back. That's a version of sneaker, if you will. So I think you're just kind of looking to see which traditional large segment will kind of come up and down, and it'll move a lot of categories with it.
I can confirm that, as the gaze from one of my 14-year-olds yesterday looking at the Vans store at the Grove in L.A. just would have set it on fire if it could. Like, Vans, like not into it at all. Like, I thought it was like, tough times for Vans with the kids.
Yeah.
That just means they're about to come back, is what that means.
The Warped
Give
Tour
it another
is
couple
back.
years.
The Warped Tour is back. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yep, exactly.
Lightning round.
All right, it's time for the Rock Fight Lightning Round. Are you guys ready?
All right.
So ready.
All right, first up, last week, Gildan Activewear announced a proposed acquisition of Hanesbrand for $2.2 billion, with Gildan president Glenn Shamity saying the big upside of the deal is expanding Hanes in activewear. Owen, I'm going to give you two choices. You pick the most likely outcome. Does an expansion by Hanes in activewear look more like a Vuori competitor, or being the dominant active casual brand at Kohl's?
Well, obviously, Kohl's is the obvious answer here. Gildan is being viewed as activewear. I mean, it's tees and hoodies. Okay, is that activewear? Right. I guess it's activewear. Yeah, sure. It's really more loungewear more than anything else. So yes, they've got some performance pieces in there, but it's really pretty casual stuff. So my favorite actually part of that press release is how they kept calling Hanes an innerwear brand. Had you heard that before? I had never heard something.
No, I think we're missing out on it. I feel like we're not doing our job if we don't know. If the three of us don't know what I've not heard of innerwear.
Innerwear, because I've heard of an outerwear brand, obviously. So
is that like an innie or an outie with your belly button?
Yeah, right. So, is it clothing for your stomach?
Next up, last week, Merrell, who, like other footwear brands we just talked about, had themselves a great Q2, laid claim to, quote, modernizing the trail. Wolverine's CEO, Chris Hufnagel, said that Merrell's, quote, faster, lighter, more athletic product offerings continue to fuel momentum and drive significant share gains in the hiking category, end quote. Dave, we said that hiking is ripe as a category to be elevated, but between these comments by Hufnagel and Shantae winning our top outdoor brand draft with Merrell on her team, do you think Merrell was already setting the tone for hiking as a category?
I'm still thinking about the Gildan and Hanes acquisition. I think that is the largest unbranded acquisition I've ever heard of, right? I mean, or not heard of, or don't care about.
The non-brand?
But, yeah, right.
$2.2 billion
That's
non-brand?
That's a $2.2 billion non-branded discussion.
Come on. Hanes is definitely a brand.
Yes,
I agree that Gildan is sort of a hidden brand. But Hanes is a brand, but it's known for its innerwear, though. Let's be clear.
Right.
Innerwear.
And in the 80s, they had commercials right along with McDonald's. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I'm going to just formally apologize to Merrell because I really tried to throw them a bone this week. And and then we just went where we normally went with that. So.
Well, hey, I'll throw them a bone. I thought it was really interesting. They actually announced that they are establishing a junior board within the company. So they're taking key younger members of the Wolverine Worldwide organization, whether they be in design or digital marketing or whatever, and they're creating this junior board that's, I guess, advising the real board on like, oh no, this is how the world actually works today, and not, you know, what a bunch of 60-somethings think. So
Are they translating memes?
Gen,
No, that's not what they really meant.
No, Gen Z
They meet on
culture,
TikTok.
yes. Mm-hmm.
That's it. No, I love that idea. I think that's actually awesome. And not only does it kind of help you identify talent, but it really does at least get some kind of structured way to get a truly relevant perspective to bubble up. No doubt. I don't think you have to be the 60-year-old board member either to benefit from that. I think that the kind of those discussions and what that comes out of it could be really, really helpful.
All right, finally today we're on Pickleball Corner as Pickle Rage expanded their indoor pickleball. You have to say it that way. You can't just say Pickle Rage. You have to say Pickle Rage expanded their indoor pickleball facilities last week by opening a new franchise location in New Jersey. For both of you, when playing at Pickle Rage, where do you think the rage comes in when you're out there playing pickleball? Where does the rage manifest itself?
The neighbors. The people that live next to these facilities are rage-filled over the constant clacking sound. So I think there's plenty of rage, Colin.
I think the rage comes from losing to octogenarians. You know, you're out there, you think you're pretty hot stuff. You're a Gen X, you're in your 50s, say, and then, Gramps and Grandma come over and just kick your ass. Yeah, it's just not good. that and also apparently all you're allowed to drink is Mick Ultra, which I cannot.
Exclusive partnership with Mick Ultra.
I cannot do that.
Who drinks Mick? Someone must be drinking Mick Ultra. They keep advertising it. Think they just made a bunch. They can't sell it. They're just gonna keep advertising until it's finally gone.
Go drink it. Apparently,
I think it's got a sales leadership.
Yeah,
it probably does.
It's people that actually don't. Not only do they not have taste, they just don't want taste.
Right. They're wearing their innerwear, and they want a beer to go with it.
Right. Exactly. Hanging out in their Gildan tees, just drinking a Mick Ultra.
Today's main event on the Rock Fight is presented by Oboz, who wants to share their love of hiking, and we want to help them by uncovering all the different reasons we love to take the long walk, including the following reasons. Number one, you can drink instant coffee while you're out there and pretend it's artisanal. Because, it's like, wow, you're drinking coffee and eating it, right?
It's true.
Oh, okay.
Number two, you get to point dramatically at peaks and say, that's where we're headed. Number three, you get to judge other hikers' gear choices in the wild, something I am convinced that everyone on this podcast does.
Of course.
Dave's just smiling. And number four, no one will judge you poorly if you're out there hiking in a pair of Oboz Hyalite mid-waterproof boots. Oboz Hyalite is rooted in the spirit of Hyalite Canyon. Designed for lasting comfort and made with recycled and bio-based materials, the Hyalite collection is designed to support your stride, whether that's out on rocky switchbacks or wandering closer to home. And this hiking appreciation moment is brought to you by Oboz of Bozeman, Montana, the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail and the Cupid to the outdoor world. Oboz. Love hiking.
And I just want to apologize to Michelob Ultra. While I am not a connoisseur of your beer, evidently they actually have the highest market share in the country of 18.7% draft of shares of draft, and they are the number 2 total size beer next to Modelo. So that's
wow.
Yes. So clearly, pickleballers drink.
As if we didn't need another sign that this country is headed in the wrong direction. Oh my God.
Mick on draft sounds terrible. Like just I guess if they hand me a cold bottle of it, I might drink it or something. But
well, look, it's the finest of what air and water can do.
It's very hydrating, which is important. Yeah. It's important to hydrate. So yeah,
man, number 2 best-selling beer in the U.S. Yep,
gosh.
There you go.
Well,
These
are the days we're living in, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so per SGB last week, Vuori celebrated its 10-year anniversary by opening its 100th store, beating its goal of 100 retail locations by a full year. They were targeting to that for 2026. Vuori also recently opened flagship locations in London and Shanghai, and this fall will be opening stores in Beijing and Seoul. A quote from the company stated, "After garnering widespread attention and loyalty from consumers in the United States, the brand has strategically expanded its global omni-channel presence, now serving customers across close to 30 countries through a growing network of brick-and-mortar locations and a robust network of distributors." because it's only been 10 years since they have arrived on the scene. The industry discourse or narrative, I feel like, is largely negative still towards Vuori from the folks we talk about on the specialty retail front and these sort of core outdoor folks. Yet all they seem to do is go out and crush it. They are a GOA brand who sells to our best outdoor retailers, and they are also actively changing the landscape of active apparel globally. So when will the more noisy voices in the industry move on from the narrative that Vuori doesn't really belong in the outdoor conversation?
I would say probably just in time for Vuori to pull out of outdoor retail. I'd say that just because clearly they're traveling more down the Arc'teryx path, where D2C is their main channel, and then they strategically choose other distribution points that align with where they want to be from a customer perspective, from a pricing perspective, but also from a location perspective. So at Moose Jaw, we actually did, Vuori was our number one brand in store, number one. But we weren't allowed to have Vuori in every store because like our Boulder location, we couldn't have Vuori because guess what? They opened a Vuori store across the street. So to what degree are we going to see more of that show up over time where it's like, oh, hey, Joe's Outdoor Store, guess what? We're opening the Vuori whatever store. The Vuori Atlanta store is going to be down the street next month. So so sorry, we're not going to sell you anymore. So you could see some of that sort of thing, I think, happening here.
I mean, but they have to be seen as having a blueprint for success at this point, right? I mean, have they had a misstep in your eyes in the last 10 years? I mean, they're only 10 years old, and they just kind of continue. I mean, I hear stories about, they're like, oh yeah, we had our booth in the Venture Out section next to Vuori and like at Outdoor Retailer in 2014 or whatever. Like they were one of those small up-and-coming brands, and now look at them.
They were super smart because so much of what happens with brands in their early stages that you're just so desperate for sales that you'll kind of take any distribution you can get, right? And they were not that at all. They were extremely selective in terms of the doors they went in. They were also very smart in that they did not allow anyone to sell their brand online. Right. So even with Moose Jaw, when we sold Vuori and Moose Jaw stores, we couldn't sell it on our website, which typically we wouldn't do because we're omni-channel. We're not going to have you only in brick and mortar, but those were the rules of the game for them. And it makes total sense for a brand, if you can start at a clean slate and say, well, let's see, do I want to compete online with all of my distributors, right? And have them bid up all of my terms on Google and all these other places, and potentially have to worry about them going on sale and doing all that kind of crap. No, I want to just own that brand online and then use brick and mortar to get that level of exposure into the market in other places, leverage them for what they're best at, which is being those local stores, those local sources for people. So, I think they did it right. And then obviously then they kept full price. They were just kind of like Lululemon in a lot of ways did as well. Mm-hmm. It was like, hey, we're a full price brand. And if you want to be part of this, you're buying it at full price. It's where brands start to over distribute and then over discount. That's when the wheels start to fall off.
So with that in mind, like outside of things like tariffs, like what are the risks do you see going, for them going forward?
Well, potentially they could end up actually maybe being over reliant on D2C, which can be challenging. And if they do start to pull out of specialty, that then creates an opening for another challenger brand, sort of similar to what happened with Nike and on. So I just think they have to be very, hopefully they'll be as strategic in their distribution decisions going forward in terms of maybe where they pull out of as they have been up to this point.
All right, I want to move on to a different topic, but I do want predictions because this to me is the most glaring thing that I'm surprised hasn't happened, and maybe it's the smartest thing they haven't done yet. When are we getting Vuori footwear?
Oh,
tomorrow? Never?
It's got to be coming.
Are they an apparel brand? And that's it?
Once Allbirds goes into bankruptcy?
Once they buy Allbirds, yeah, that would have been my... That's exactly...
Why would they do that, though? When they just rather... I mean, I guess, what are you buying, Yeah, they don't have to do that.
No, they don't. I mean, you look at Vuori is much bigger than Allbirds is, like probably 4 times the size. So no, they're not going to buy Allbirds, but I do see the Vuori footwear aesthetic being in that vein, I guess, when it does come out, which will be in 3 years.
You think 3 years?
I think so.
It sounds about right. So are we saying that, hey, consigliere, are we saying that, Vuori is the, the Michael Corleone and Allbirds is the Fredo in this conversation?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
So, well, okay, look, part of they have already dipped their toe, if you will, into footwear. They did a collab with Clay in 2023, and it was very basic, gender neutral, mostly recycled, eco-conscious kind of positioning, kind of what you'd expect from that.
What was the function of the shoe? Was it just like an everyday shoe? Was it like a running shoe?
It's just an everyday. No, just a comfortable, again, nice looking, clean sneaker. But so like I said, that line's been crossed. So we'll see where it goes.
I mean, Lulu came out with a shoe finally. Or eventually, someone's going to say, "All right, guys, it's time. We got to make shoes now."
Yeah.
No, that's actually a fair point, because that took a long time in terms of Lulu's scale before they went into footwear. I'm not sure if I would get into footwear if I were them. The landscape is obviously scattered with the bones of brands that have tried to make that leap. So we'll see.
It does seem like there are a lot more smaller sort of niche footwear brands, or something we need to talk about, I think, on the pod soon. But yes, I agree with you. So on the flip side of the athletic coin now, we have Under Armour, who is in the news this week, according to SGB, for still trying to right the ship, so to speak. So per that article, which came out after Under Armour's Q1 results were down year over year, CEO Kevin Plank said the brand is, quote, executing a phased plan to rebuild brand loyalty, improve revenue quality, and lay the groundwork for sustainable growth, end quote. Plank also added that he believes the brand is regaining cultural relevance in the U.S. by shifting their focus away from gym-based activities and focusing back on team sports, particularly American football, which was instrumental into their initial growth and rise. By no means is Under Armour not relevant. They are a billion-dollar activewear brand, but when you compare them to the ascendant brand they were 10 years ago, I think it's fair to ask some questions. So my first question is, has Vuori sort of market corrected Under Armour, right? So Vuori launches 10 years ago and is currently on the path that we all thought Under Armour would probably be on now, or still be on anyway. But instead, it feels like they've run into roadblocks along the way.
I don't buy that Vuori is the reason why Under Armour hasn't continued to grow. Under Armour is the reason why Under Armour hasn't continued to grow. They've screwed the pooch fairly well here, just in terms of doing all of the opposite things that we talked about. Not being strategic in terms of their distribution decisions, right? Having their D2C be all about discounting and promotion, not being strategic in terms of who can sell their brand online and having it be all over everywhere, and then just chasing the top line, expanding into every single category under the sun, like their outerwear collection and hunting, and they just lost the script, quite frankly. And whereas Vuori has been Vuori. Also, I would say they're different going after different customers, different segments, etc.
It's not a one for one, but I sort of look at the things you just described, or it seemed to be some of the things that Vuori has done well. So if it's just if you're like a buyer or even just a consumer, and you're kind of looking at these two brands, and like Under Armour's just like cruising along, chugging along. Like when I was at Polar Tech 10 years ago, it's going to be Adidas, Nike, and Under Armour, right? And that all weird. They had conquered the U.S. The world was next, and now it seems that Vuori just sort of has taken that place. A lot of it's self-inflicted wounds, to your point, from Under Armour's created that. But I do wonder, that's an interesting sliding doors moment if Vuori now, that open up the door for Vuori to kind of become what it is.
Well, I think it's just more of Under Armour just didn't adapt or meet the athleisure trend at all. I mean, Nike has the same customer base that Under Armour is, and has moved into that very well. And that just goes into kind of the DNA of the different brands, right? And how they're able to bring artistry and a little bit of subtlety to aesthetics and design and trend. And, like you said, Under Armour got kind of over their skis into a lot of things, and returning back to football is definitely going back to home base. Personally, I don't think gym sports are necessarily that different from team sports in an overall sense and vibe. So that to me is a little bit of mushy side. But you can be in the gym and be a football brand or be a team sport brand at the same time. So I think missing that trend, like you said, again, they've had inventory issues going back for years. As recently as 2023, they had $1 billion of $1.2 billion in inventory sitting there. So, like, just getting the house in order. you mentioned hunting, which, maybe were relatable to the outdoor. That was $1 billion category, 10 years ago. I mean, so it's like they were doing something right.
Yeah.
And just missed out on consolidating that or taking it forward. I mean, they definitely, again, they do seem like every few years they have an unforced error that kind of just takes them off their stride.
I wonder if the moment has passed them by, right? We always described Under Armour as a Grrrr brand, right? It's like that was the kind of like their whole thing. It's like, coming out of the gate, like to protect this house, like very masculine and big, bulking, hulking dude kind of brand. I wonder if that cultural moment has passed them by. And then you also, given that you have these other challenges they're trying to overcome, that's maybe not as acceptable, largely speaking, among the populace. And then also you have brands like a Vuori or maybe even others or even Lululemon to kind of step in and fill in the opportunities that were there for Under Armour back in the day.
I think what you missed, Colin, though, is that misogyny is actually is back.
Oh shit, that's right.
Right?
It's timeless. Yeah.
Exactly. We've got our misogynist.
You're not misogynistic enough, Colin.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it's back to strip clubs for Under Armour, and those days are coming back, right? Because
that's a good point.
Yeah, potentially. I think it's an interesting thought from a brand perspective. Did Under Armour lose that sort of Grrrr edge, trying to chase the changing tides of culture around masculinity and this whole concept of toxic masculinity, which I hate that term. I think it should be banned. But anyway, did they feel like, we can't be ourselves, so we're going to try to be something else, and then they became, nothing really?
I don't even know if they got that far in it. Again, I think the athleisure side is really a trend and aesthetic specifically for maybe the women's business that they could have brought into it. But their branding has never been to the point of a Nike or even Adidas. It's always had a little bit of little brotherism to it. It doesn't have the same kind of soul. Now, some of that work has changed. Like the stuff that they're bringing back, they did a video piece with I think it's Jackson State, one of the historically black colleges that won the national title last year. Mm-hmm. Really emotional piece to it. Some of their branding work is starting to get to that, but I just think before it just kind of missed. And that's going back a while, where they just they kind of lost the emotion. And so I actually think that a Grrrr brand is actually a great idea in the sense of where everything is going and creating a difference, and one that actually goes to their heritage. It doesn't mean you have to pick up all the stupid tropes that, that existed in terms of misogynistic culture and still have strength and power and leadership. Look, at the end of the day, we're an alpha-based country. We reward sports and brands that take the lead and show by example. And that is, to me, that is an opportunity for them to get their place back.
Frankly, a female-led Grrrr campaign would be really interesting.
They've done some of that. Nike just did that very well, right? And so I think there's a place for that across the board for all their categories. But you got to get out of the price point.
Well,
right? You got to get out of the tech business, all those stupid apps that they bought up and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, get back to making great looking product, be on trend, and build me something I can want to associate with an emotion.
I mean, part of this is a very podcasty conversation, right? Because 10 years ago, we just saw them as the next big brand. Maybe they take down a Nike or an Adidas, and it would definitely be one of the third version of those. And then also, we were working with them a lot on the outdoor side, and they really had aspirations to be to sit next to a Patagonia or a North Face. They really wanted that outdoor business, and they was all sitting there. Then they launched
took down Reebok.
Oh, who hasn't at this point?
Actually, not that many.
No, I know, that's true.
Right? I mean, that was part of the big three. They definitely sharpened their elbows and got themselves in. No doubt about it.
But if you look at them now, the opportunity is still there. But it is just kind of interesting what they're trying to do, and it probably is a brand going back to that sort of roots of football.
I would like to lead them with heart. Wear it on their sleeve, be emotional, and be strong.
I think it's smart going back to that football vibe, protect this house, just about solidity and something you can rely on, being that core and having that core
Yeah.
to drive the brand. I think that's the right move.
Well, I mean, Owen, you do have it on our notes, like they are still a $6 billion brand. So they're still,
Right,
they're still kind of out there.
They're still,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they've had some hard times, obviously, over the last, I don't know what they peaked at, maybe more like 8. But yeah, they're still a player and still a key partner for Dick's Sporting Goods, as an example. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't write them off.
Yeah. No. But
Interesting.
their narrative seems to be about, SEC fines, inventory, management, carousel. I mean, really, that's not.
And then now they're going to have to
you,
deal with the whole tariff situation on top of all solving those problems too.
That's right. And that's not what you want. Yeah, as your main business narrative. So something that can get away from that would certainly be helpful.
It's time for a party shot.
All right, time for the parting shot. And Owen had to peel off, so it's just Dave here with me for the parting shot. But first of all, Dave, I just want to say I love it when the world gets caught up to kind of obvious things, right? So last week, FrontOfficeSports.com ran a story about the moment that Rice Krispie Treats are having with endurance athletes, particularly at this summer's Tour de France. Apparently, a single prepackaged Rice Krispie Treat can deliver the sugar and carbs that many endurance athletes consume when they are participating in their events. And it's also a little more tasty, than maybe some of the other things they have at their disposal.
And a lot cheaper, Colin.
And cheaper. Speaking of cheaper, sports nutrition has grown a ton over the past 2 decades. And according to that Front Office Sports article, gels alone are on track to be a $1 billion category by 2034, which is a lot of $2 sugar packets. Now, the funny thing is that the point of that whole category being gels and what is being shown by the Rice Krispie Treat boom is that the point is to get the right kind of calories into your body, right? So gels were invented for ease of consumption and easy digestion, not because the sugar in a goo works any better than the sugar in a handful of candy. So much like people who think you simply can't hike unless you have a specific shirt or jacket procured at an outdoor gear shop, there are still those who believe that you shouldn't get on your bike without your sports branded drink or gummy treats or whatever. So sustainability is the key driver, right, behind the "we make too much stuff" mantra of the outdoor industry, for sure. But a close second to sustainability is the better mousetrap to solutions we probably already have hanging in our closet or on a shelf in our pantry. So if you're an elite athlete who is paid to perform athletically, that's one thing. Figure it out. Go use all the sciencey shit you got. But if you're training for that local half marathon, the Rice Krispie Treat or a miniature Three Musketeers from last Halloween or the peanut butter sandwich that you have will suit you just fine. It's really pretty simple, folks. Don't overthink going outside. You'll figure it out. That's my parting shot.
Are you saying that a cotton T-shirt might be okay?
You
Is
know
that what you're saying?
I think that's what I'm saying,
Maybe
Dave.
so. Though I can see the next big boom could be crispy kills.
You have to wear your synthetic shirt.
That's right.
With your
that's
gels.
Right.
You can't have your
that's
crispy
right.
treat.
That's
Yeah,
right. Otherwise,
Krispie
crispy kills.
We might be litigating cotton kills at some point in the future.
That's right. I think we should. I'm bringing Krispie Treats to that.
Oh, we should eat them there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's the show for today. We want your emails. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight's a production of Rock Fight LLC. Today's episode produced by producer Dave. Art direction provided by Sarah Genser for the now departed Eoin Comerford. I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening. And here to take us out once again, Krista makes with the Rock Fight fight song. He never gets sick of playing it, and you never get sick of listening to it. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock